Hi everyone, my name is Breanne and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 18 months old. So today I do have my fiance join with us.
Hey guys.
Funny story, so I know the last time you seen him, he was actually my boyfriend. During the time he proposed to me, it was actually pretty funny. My Dexcom was beeping like crazy. So I'm really excited to have him join us today because as my significant other, he is a great support system. So I kind of wanted to share our story and how he found out about me being type 1 diabetic. So really my first question is, how did you find out I was diabetic and what do you remember?
So I remember being in your room and when we first started dating, and you would just grab this little device, it was pink at the time, and you would just look at it and you were just like playing around with it, and in my head I'm like, what is that? Like, you know, I didn't want to just like be up front and be like, you know, like, what is that? But in my head I'm just curious. It looked like a Tamagotchi, honestly. But I knew it was something like medical because it was literally attached to her. So I knew that you're obviously diabetic, but I kind of put two and two together. So I was just like, oh, is that for your diabetes or is that something else? And then you kind of gave me the rundown like that. You pretty much explained it simple, like it gives you insulin because you're type 1 diabetic. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I had no idea that it was something that you needed like to survive. I had no idea that it's something needed, you know, I mean, I don't know what the future would look like in 30 years from now, but it's something that you need for, you know, forever pretty much, to give yourself insulin. But, you know, I didn't know it was like to that kind of extent, but I've pretty much found out immediately that it was something that you need all the time, you know. So, I mean, especially like talking about almost 10 years ago, you know, I'm sure things changed the past decade with technology regarding diabetes, but, you know, I knew immediately that it was something that definitely is important to you, that you need like all the time, so.
Yeah, that's crazy you said that because I don't even remember that moment because at that time I was 17 years old when we started dating, and if you haven't watched the video already, definitely check out my confessions. And at that time, I was very ashamed of my diabetes. It was something I never talked about. So I definitely remember I never had like a formal conversation with Angelo. Just like what he said, I kind of just pulled out my insulin pump like nonchalantly, and then he just asked questions and then I would answer those questions. And then my next question to you is, did you have any knowledge about diabetes prior?
I mean, very little, even just very little with type 2. Type 1, not much at all. When I first started being with you, it taught me a lot that I had no idea about with type 1 diabetes. I didn't know your pancreas just technically shuts down, and now you need something to regulate insulin, to give yourself insulin. I had no idea about that. But it was pretty interesting to learn all that. But to kind of see it like firsthand and to kind of learn about it and how your life adjusts to it, where someone like me, I don't really pay attention to any of that. So it was kind of unique and different to just learn about stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Next question is, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts when maybe I took out my insulin pump or when you started to learn more about diabetes, and really your thoughts on my lifestyle with diabetes?
You know, I guess like me personally, it's almost like damn, like how come, you know, how come this stuff happens? I mean, how come, you know, type 1 diabetics become like this? Like that I mean, in my opinion, like it does suck, you know, let's be quite frank and transparent. Like that does suck to have that. I understand, you know, maybe some people are pretty optimistic with it, which you should, but I mean, in just my opinion, it's like how come we haven't found maybe like some sort of cure or something that, you know, can just be totally beyond where we are now. Besides that point, why isn't it fully covered by insurance? Why do you have to pay to literally survive? I might be getting on like, you know, I don't know. It's just it's just my opinion. It's a free country. I'm saying what I want to say. Why do you have to pay for that? I mean, I would literally pay a couple more dollars or extra $10 out of my paycheck to have someone like you not pay to survive. That's just my opinion. It's just, I don't know, I feel like, we've done a good job with diabetes, but it's just, sucks that we kind of have to go through this with type 1 diabetics. I wouldn't understand what it feels like, so.
Yeah, what I really, kind of what Angelo was saying, what I appreciate most about him and how he supports me is that he never looked at me differently. When I asked him about what are his thoughts about me having type 1 diabetes, like in him just talking, it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with really the finger pricks I would used to do, because now I wear the Dexcom G6 or the insulin pump attached to me. It was more about him talking about the actual diabetes and how, me and diabetes, it's two different things. And again, it's a disease that I have, but diabetes doesn't define me and who I am. So,
yeah.
I definitely appreciate
By the way, I'm someone who's very don't raise taxes. If you know what I'm, going with over here. I'm someone I hate raising taxes. I'm someone that's, who's going to pay for it for free stuff. I'm not going to get into college and all that, but for something like type 1 diabetes, why do you have to pay for that? That's ridiculous. Really think about it.
So my next question is, did you ever look at me differently once you discovered I was type 1 diabetic?
I didn't care that, you had obviously a device that you needed to give yourself insulin. That none of that really, I judged. None of that I judged at all. I knew that this was something that you couldn't control, so why, treat you any different? That's not fair. So I've heard stories of people leaving their significant other because they became type 1 diabetic. I've heard some bizarre stories, but that's something that you can't control. That has nothing to do with your character. That has nothing to do with who you are as a person. That's just something that you dealt with at a very young age, and that has nothing to do with you as a person. And maybe for people out there who have trouble communicating that with their significant other, just know that, how would you feel if you were in their shoes? That's not something that they asked for. And if you got dealt with that, how would you feel if your family or friends or significant other treated you differently? It's just not right, So that never ever got in the way at all. And if anything, I hope I can be of some sort of help with it, so.
You are 100% a great support system by far. And I never felt that he ever looked at me or treated me differently in any way. Besides the crazy text messages during work letting me know that my blood sugar's going low or it's going high. Which brings me to my next question. Can you tell me a time, maybe a story or a memory of us, and it had to do with maybe you being angry and it was revolving around my diabetes, or an argument we had and it was revolving around my diabetes?
There was one instance, I think it was in 2020 when restaurants were starting to open up in the summertime, and it was our anniversary. So we made reservations to a very nice restaurant, and I'm just saying this not to brag, but I give myself a lot of credit for this, and maybe just to give some tips out there. But we were going to a very, very nice Italian restaurant, and we made reservations, and we haven't been out to eat because of COVID and stuff. So it was in the summertime. We're on our way. We look good and stuff. We haven't really been dressing up because we're stuck in the house. So we're on our way, and we're literally about to pull up in the parking lot. They have valet and everything. And she goes, I forgot my pump. I'm like, oh shit, are you serious? That's crazy. But I literally immediately was like, you know what? Did she really mean that? Obviously not. She was probably looking forward to it, so she just forgot about it, And then I guess, just didn't ask, oh, do you have your pump on you? Do you have everything? Because I always ask that. So I just sucked, I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? We turned around. I think we actually, we went back, because it wasn't that far of a drive. It's about less than 20 minutes. So we turned around, we went back. I didn't give no attitude, nothing at all. Okay, yeah, we'll just go back and get it, whatever. So then we go back, we get the pump, and we're on the way back to the restaurant. Not rushing or anything like that, just whatever. It is what it is. And then obviously, like I said, it wasn't her intent to do that. She just forgot, 'cause she's human. So I think we get there and they were just like, yeah, there's no more seats in the restaurant, even though I asked for seats in the restaurant. It's beautiful in there. Like, oh, but you could sit outside. And like, you know, we ended up not even going because I don't want to sit outside in the heat with the valet parking going on next to me. So what? So, you know, that's what I'm saying. So like, what was the point of getting mad about something like that? And then we ended up going to a different restaurant, no reservations, and it was a great time anyway. So, but an instance where I, like the most recent one I can remember that, I guess like we did like get into like a little argument was that sometimes I do ask her, like I'll text her like if her sugars go like very, very low, especially if the sugars go low, I get pretty worried because she could be at work, I'm at work, and I don't know if she's working and maybe she thinks she just has a headache or she's not really feeling good and her sugars are dropping. I just don't know if in her head, like it's like, oh, that's nothing, you know, I'll just, you know, maybe it's just a headache. But meanwhile, her sugars are dropping and she needs immediate attention. But obviously, like, I have to understand, like, she knows her body more than I know her body, especially as a type 1 diabetic. But I would text her here and there, and I guess that would be kind of annoying, especially, you know, when her sugars go really high. I text her when I'm not around, but it's just because I care. Obviously, I love her, so I just care and I get worried. So she ends up telling me, like, we're in New Jersey. She ends up telling me that she deleted the app on my phone. I'm like, what?
Wait, hold on. So I wear a Dexcom G6, and on the application, it lets you track your blood sugar, and you can also share your blood sugar with others. So before you keep going, I do want to say we're in New Jersey, and in front of my family, you know, I'm eating. He goes, Breanne, your blood sugar's high, out loud. And for me, I guess I get very self-conscious, even if it's like in front of my family. Like I know what my blood sugar is. I know what I can or cannot eat. And I know he comes from a place of caring so much, as you can hear as he's speaking, on how much he cares about my diabetes. So yeah, so I secretly deleted the app until I forgot I deleted the app, and I asked him in the morning, oh, can you tell me what my blood sugar is? And then he goes to look.
Yeah, and I couldn't. I'm like, where's the app? I don't know where it is. She's like, oh, I deleted it. I'm like, what?
Whoops.
But you know what? No, but you make a good point because you know your body the most, and you know when you're going high, you know when you're going low, you know what to do, and I should trust that more, even though I'm such a worrier. You know, I like freak out, but you know, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know, I just come from a place, you know, like what she just said, that I just care, and I can see how that can be annoying from her standpoint, like how that can be like I know, like that can be annoying. If I always try to put myself in her shoes, pretty much. So I definitely see what you're saying, but you know.
Also, I do want to say, even though I am the one here with the type 1 diabetes, I think it's also important that I put myself in his shoes as well and see where he's coming from, especially in a relationship where you do have to look at both perspectives, in my opinion. Can you share a time you got really nervous about my diabetes?
Oh, I mean, it happens. I get most nervous when we have to go to the hospital out of nowhere. Like, that happens, like, sporadically, but, like, the nights where, like, for example, the most recent one, she went to the gym, she did a class, she comes back, and then she comes home, and her numbers were high, like, very, very high. And I was like, shit, like, here we go. And I try to just keep calm, I keep cool, she knows what she's doing, you know, if she needs anything, I'm here. It was taking a bit to go down, but as it was going down, I noticed something different than usual when it goes that high and then comes down. And she had like the chills, she was very cold, she was throwing up, and I'm like, oh shoot, like, you know, all right, let's give it some more time. And then all of a sudden, she just was not feeling good. We checked her temperature, it was fine, but something definitely was off, and I knew immediately looking in her face. And then we had to go to the hospital, and then we go to the hospital, and just being there, it can be very, very scary, nerve-wracking. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen, how it can play out, but it ended up being that you were just very dehydrated. So your body is just so dehydrated that it's throwing up. Actually, it was dehydrated because you were throwing up Plus you went to the gym, so that's also, you know, making you more dehydrated because you need water. And it's just stuff like that. I hate going to the hospital because you know, just being there, knowing that you're feeling sick. But I try to be as just strong and, you know, like obviously, like if I'm gonna like overreact and worry, like that's not gonna help her. So, you know, you always just try to, you know, just know that everything's gonna be cool and stuff, and try to just keep calm and stuff, because it'll all be all right. But, you know, and then you also just have to learn from certain stuff. So like from that, she knows that if she goes to the gym eating a banana, maybe, you know, to put insulin in or something like that, or drink a lot more water while you're at the gym so it doesn't happen. Shit does happen. That's just the way life is. We're not perfect. We're only human. You could be as perfect as you want with diabetes. I mean, speaking to someone who doesn't have diabetes, but from what I've been seeing, you could be as perfect as you want, but at the end of the day, you're human and you're gonna make mistakes. So I think just preparing for the worst and also just expecting the best is what I see gets you good results. So she went from a high A1C, like doubled where you are now, right?
Yeah. So the highest A1C I've ever been was at 13. Then from there, I went down to 11, where now my A1C, I just look at the estimated A1C on the Dexcom application, and it's showing that it's below 7. So I'm just really excited about that.
So what is this, 6 point, like?
Maybe like 6.9. Again, I have to go for blood work to get the exact, but all I know is it is definitely not double digits. It's not a 9, it's not an 8, and it's definitely going to be below 7.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's progress. Yeah. That's progress right there. So, and it's not, doesn't mean that like it's like almost like someone, not almost, but it's totally different analogy, but it's like someone that wants to go to the gym and obviously lose weight and get in shape. Going to the gym once and eating healthy, you come back from the gym, you ate healthy for the day, you come back and you look in the mirror and you see no change at all. But it's not the event, it's just the consistency of doing something over and over again that will give you that kind of result. And that's what I've seen with her, is that she's just been consistent. Doesn't mean that she won't make mistakes, doesn't mean that she won't eat something that she shouldn't, or maybe her sugars went crazy. That's in my opinion, that's gonna happen, that's bound to happen. But it's all about being consistent into where her goals are, and she's been doing that. So I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for recognizing. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So my next question is maybe like a funny story.
No, not just
okay. Next.
A funny story.
Yeah.
Funny story. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
We'll skip it.
I'm trying to think. A funny story?
Us doing this video.
I don't know. I mean, at the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, it's fine. Can you maybe explain some of my symptoms that you realize, maybe when my blood sugar is high or maybe my blood sugar is low, and how do you help me, and then how do we communicate that together?
Symptoms? I mean, when your sugars go high, you're totally, okay, I hate to say it, but you definitely become like moody, without a doubt, which is understandable. But, you know, I guess just not really being yourself, like you just, you know, it's something's off. Going low, I mean, all I know is that you just need juice, and I go and get it whenever it is. Like, yeah,
no, seriously, whenever it is. It could be 3 a.m. I'll be like, Angelo,
I'm going low. I could be literally still asleep.
I'm going low.
I'm sleepwalking to get juice, and then, you know, but I see, you know, obviously vomiting if it gets too out of control when your sugars go up. But yeah, stuff like that.
Especially when my blood sugar's high, where I feel like my mood is changing drastically, where everything could just start to agitate me. And I let him know in advance. I'll be like, Angelo, right now my blood sugar is going really high. So if I snap at you, if I feel agitated, it is not my fault. Again, just fair warning. So I always kind of give him that fair warning, just because. Yeah. And then lastly, any advice can you give to anybody who's dating or married to someone with type 1 diabetes?
I guess like what I was saying, just put yourself in their shoes. This is not something that they asked for. And just do the best that you can to just have fun in the process. Like, don't make it something that's gonna like, you know, I mean, because it is gonna be a part of your relationship moving forward, but you know, just do the best you can to support and be there for them, and that's it. Like, don't overthink it, and that's really it. Like it's just a part of us. Like, I don't like, you know, wake up like, oh, what's gonna happen today with your diabetes? Like, it's whatever happens, and I'm there to support you. That's it. So that's it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And if anyone has any questions, any comments, please comment them below. If you like this video, please support, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Thank you.
Bye.